Sometimes the most painful silence from God hides the loudest truth about your destiny, and the real reason He doesn't reveal everything at once is because revelation without preparation becomes destruction in disguise. You cry out asking why He won't show you the full plan, why the path feels hidden, why you keep walking in half light, but God knows that too much too soon would crush what He's still strengthening within you. If He showed you the entire picture, you'd run ahead of grace trying to make it happen in your own timing, and your heart would burn out before His promise could bloom. Think of Joseph. God gave him a dream, not a map. He showed him the throne, but not the betrayal, the pit, or the prison, because if Joseph had known the full process, he might have begged God to take the dream back. You see, revelation is a test of trust. Proverbs 25 verse 2 says it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search it out. And that means sometimes what He hides isn't rejection, it's training for royalty. You're not being ignored, you're being initiated. There's a divine secrecy in how God unfolds your story. And those who can't handle mystery can't handle miracles. You want clarity, but God wants character. You want answers, but He's building endurance. You want to see the destination, but He's perfecting your direction. Every hidden season is a spiritual filter that separates those who seek His hand from those who truly seek His heart. The shocking truth is that if God revealed the weight of your calling too early, you'd sabotage yourself trying to carry what you're not yet strong enough to lift. It's not punishment, it's protection. Like a parent who doesn't hand the keys to a child who can't yet drive, God withholds certain details until wisdom has replaced impulse. You think you're ready, but He sees the unseen pride still clinging to your ambition. You pray for revelation, but He's watching whether you obey without it. Because faith that only functions when it understands isn't faith, it's control. When you can walk blind and still believe, that's when heaven starts whispering secrets the flesh can't comprehend. God's silence is not His absence, it's His strategy. He's teaching you to depend on His presence more than His plan. If you knew every turn ahead, you'd stop listening for His voice. That's why His guidance often feels like breadcrumbs, not blueprints. He wants to walk with you, not just inform you. Romans 8:28 reminds you that all things work together for good, even the unanswered prayers and the confusing delays, because delay is often the disguise of divine development. What feels like God holding out on you is actually Him holding you back from something smaller than what He promised. Sometimes He blinds you to your own future so that you don't settle for a counterfeit on the way there. That's why people who rush revelation often end up with regret. Moses knew he was called to deliver Israel, but when he tried to force timing, he killed a man and buried his destiny in the sand for 40 years. The warning is clear. If you try to take what God is still preparing, you'll end up breaking what He meant to bless you with. So when the vision feels incomplete, when heaven feels quiet, understand that silence is not the absence of movement. It's the sound of heaven aligning every unseen piece in your favor. God is not a withholder, He's a weaver, stitching your timeline into something so intricate that you'll only see its brilliance when you look back. Hidden doesn't mean forgotten. Concealed doesn't mean cancelled. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's where God detoxes your soul from needing to know everything. If you can't trust Him in the dark, you won't glorify Him in the light. Every unanswered question is a classroom where faith graduates into revelation. Remember how Jesus told the disciples in John 16:12, "I have much more to say to you, more than you can now bear." That's the heart of God. He wants to give you more, but only when you can handle it without losing Him in the process. Some knowledge requires spiritual muscle. Some revelation demands emotional maturity. God delays not because he's distant, but because he's deeply invested in your development. So when he hides details, don't chase prophecy, chase presence. Don't demand clarity, demand closeness. The more you grow in intimacy, the more he trusts you with insight. There's a sacred order in the kingdom. Revelation follows relationship. The secret places of God are not for the impatient, but for the faithful. When you learn to stay steady when it's hidden, to worship when it's unclear, to obey when it's inconvenient, that's when he starts unveiling the mysteries that others never see. And here's the final truth. What God conceals in one season, he will confirm in another. And when that revelation finally comes, you'll realize he was never late. He was waiting for you to become the person capable of receiving it without idolizing it. So don't curse the silence, don't despise the dark, and don't rush what heaven is still forming. God doesn't reveal everything at once because he's not just showing you a future, he's shaping you for it.